Hey guys, Sarah here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a full demo and review of the brand new Maybelline Soda Pop palette. So if you're interested in that, keep watching. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe before you leave so you don't miss any of my future videos. All right, let's get into it. When I saw that this palette came out, I wanted to try it because I did try the Lemonade palette back when that one came out, which I will link my video about it up here. Long story short, I was not that impressed with that palette, and so I wanted to try this one out just to see if this one was any different. It's in essentially the exact same packaging, and I think that these colors called to me a little bit more because I do have green eyes, and purples are really flattering on green eyes. So when I saw this, I was like, yes, this is a palette that is right up my alley. I picked it up from Ulta. I believe it was $13.99, which I will link it down below in the bottom bar, as well as every single thing that I put on my face today. I actually recently got this layered necklace, which I think is adorable. I think it was like $10 maybe. So I'll link this. This tank top I have in 4 colors, and I think it's on sale for like $5. And I'm like full bargain today. And then I have a new stack from my bracelet collection that I will also link down below for you. So let's talk about this palette. Right off the bat, I already knew there were certain things that I didn't like the packaging. I hate that there's not a mirror. If I'm gonna have an eyeshadow palette, I really want a mirror so that I can just do my makeup in this. You'll see when we hop into the demo that I had to pick up a different palette and use the mirror out of that one. Other than that, the clasp is fine. The actual packaging is sturdy, but I just hate not having a mirror in an eyeshadow palette. It does say that this is infused with a sweet soda scent. I don't think it smells like soda. It's plain and simple. It smells like something, but I wouldn't say that it's soda. So, whatever. I don't really care what it smells like as long as it doesn't smell really bad. So that was whatever to me. And then as far as the shade range, I really like these shades. I think that it's a really pretty palette. I think it looks really wearable. I like that there's this deep matte brown that's really good to wear as liner or to deepen out your outer V. I really like the shadows. I think that they looked really promising. So let's get into the actual shades. First up is Chilling. This is like a matte light beigey yellow. This is a really good one. I set down my concealer with it so that I had a nice base to work with. You could do the same thing with Ginger Ale, which is 2 Over, which is this matte bone shade. They're kind of interchangeable to me. Chilling and Ginger Ale, there's nothing really that different about them to me, so I kind of categorize them the same way. I guess it would depend on what your skin tone is, but I'm not using it to like really make a difference on my eyelid. I'm not using it to like transition or anything like that. So that's Chilling, and then there's Toxic, which is this like light pinky, kind of like a little bit icy and silvery, but also gold and metallic shimmer shade. It is really finely milled, so it feels nice and buttery. This is a really gorgeous lid shade. After that is Ginger Ale, and that's the one that I also was talking about next to Chilling. It is a nice shade to set down your lid or to kind of blend things out if you don't want harsh lines or anything like that, but it's not gonna make like a huge major difference. Cola Float is this really nice orangey brown matte shade. This blended out so beautifully on my eyelids. I think it is gorgeous. This is a great crease color. It is a great transition color. I've used this shade every single time I've used this palette. And then in the middle there's Sugar High, which is the first shade I put on my lids today. It's kind of like a coppery rose gold shimmer shade. Again, very finely milled and very pigmented. And then next to that is Crushing, which is this matte, brighter orange shade. I think this is a fun shade to throw into the crease. I used a little bit of it today. It kind of adds just a little bit more dimension and pop to your look. And then moving down to the second half, you have Soda Fizz, which is in that bigger pan. This is a really gorgeous, it's almost like a bronzy chrome shade, but it also has reflex of silver and gold. It is stunning. I love this shade. This is actually what I put on my lids on top of Sugar High. And then next to that is this like almost neon looking Grape Pop. And this again is super buttery. I did find that it was a little bit crumbly when I first put it on my lid, so I did have to work with it a bit, but it is a nice shimmer shade. Next to that is Cherry on Top. It's a deeper matte purple shade. This one, it was pretty good, but it definitely wasn't as pigmented and blendable as some of the other shades in the palette, which I've heard that doing purples is hard. I have no idea because I've never formulated eyeshadows, but that's just kind of what I've heard from a few different people. So I'm sure that that was probably the hardest shade in the palette to create. Next to that on the far right is Root Beer, which is this really deep matte brown. This is one of my must-haves in a palette. I need either a really deep brown or a black so that I can do my eyeshadow or my eyeliner with it. And I love to be able to deepen up my look and my outer V or use it as liner. So that was a must-have and I really enjoyed using that one. And then the bottom two in the middle are Blue Raspberry, which is this almost like navy blue shimmer shade. This one blended out gorgeously as well. I have not used that one on my eyes. It's the only one in the palette that I haven't used on my eyes, so yeah. And then last but not least is Cherry Cola, which is this almost like reddish maroon shimmer shade. This is a gorgeous one as well. Depending on what kind of look you're going for, I think that this could be an absolutely beautiful like jewel toned makeup look. Okay, so those are all of the shades. Again, I was pretty impressed by most of them. I kind of gave you guys my thoughts on how they worked as I went, but let's jump into the demo of me actually putting this on my eyes. The first thing I'm gonna do is take Chilling with a big fluffy brush and just set my eyelid down so I have a nice base to work with. I'm gonna dump this, but I'm just gonna show you guys really quick the fallout on this one. I feel like I have to like dump it into the trash so it doesn't get all over all of my other stuff. So next I'm going to go into Cola Float. One of my biggest pet peeves about these palettes is that they don't have a mirror. So I always end up grabbing another palette that does have a mirror. So I'm just gonna put this into my crease and just really blend it out. Next, I'm going to go into this Brighter Orange Crushing with a slightly smaller fluffy brush and pop this a little bit lower in the crease, but kind of doing the same thing, just really blending it in there and adding some dimension. Okay, now I'm going to go into Root Beer with this small, this is the Zoeva Luxe Petite Crease, and I'm going to put this in the outer V. I'm just gonna deepen this outer edge of my eye up a bit. And then when I have barely any product left, I'm going to just drag it more into the crease. I'm having the hardest time deciding which one I want to put on my lid today. I think I'm going to go with, I think I'm gonna do Sugar High, which is this one right here. So I'm just taking this flat shader brush. That's not really what I was going for. Okay, I'm gonna go right on top of that with this Soda Fizz. This is like a shimmer champagne shade. And then going right back in with that fluffy brush, I'm going to go into Ginger Ale, which is right here. It's like this matte bone shade. And I'm just going to throw this right back into my crease and just kind of blend everything out so I don't have any harsh lines. Lastly, I'm going to just stamp that dark shade in Root Beer right back on the outer V just to kind of deepen it back up. Okay, I'm gonna throw on some liner and mascara and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is my finished makeup look. I like the way that it turned out. I'm glad that I ended up putting Soda Fizz on top of my lid shade. I had just Sugar High on and it was just a little bit darker than what I wanted today. But overall, I have a few thoughts on this palette. One, I tried out the Lemonade palette, which I already talked about. And that palette, I felt like I could only get one look out of it. Like I kept trying to use the shades and they just were not working for me. So this palette, I feel like you can certainly get a lot more looks out of it. The purples are great. They do blend out. This cherry on top is not as pigmented as I would like it to be, but it definitely still works. And then I love all of the lid shades, like all the shimmer shades are really gorgeous. So as far as that goes, I really like it. This shade Chilling is a little disappointing for me. It was a little bit chalky, and Ginger Ale was the same way, but it was still workable. So for a drugstore palette, I think that this is really good. I'm glad that I actually was able to get a different look out of it than just the one look that I felt like I could get from the Lemonade palette. I don't think it smells like soda. Like, I don't know what that would even smell like, but I don't think it smells like soda, so whatever. I don't know if that's a selling point for you guys. The colors, for me personally, I really like because purples are really, really flattering on green eyes, and I have green eyes, so I think this palette is really good for that. For $13.99, I would go out and buy it again. One other thing that I will say is that there's a ton of fallout on almost every single shade. Anytime I would dip in, there's fallout everywhere. So like, I cleaned this palette before I used it today, and you can just see like in between all the lines, there's just a lot of dirtiness. So it is a little bit of a messy palette. I don't personally mind fallout because if the shadows are pigmented and they have fallout because of that, that's fine with me as long as they still work for me and are pigmented. It's when there's fallout and they're also bad, that's when I get annoyed. But overall, I do like this palette. The one shade that I have not used on my eyes at all is Blue Raspberry. I don't know that I really ever would, but other than that, the shades I really enjoyed. I think that Cola Float, I don't know why I keep calling it Cola Float is an amazing shade. It was such a good transition for today's look. I've used it every single time I've used this palette. I have used this shade. So overall, I like this palette. I picked it up for $13.99 at Ulta, which I will link down below in the bottom bar, along with every single thing that's on my face and what I'm wearing. Anyway, final thoughts are that I like this palette. I'm glad I have it in my collection. I think that I will wear it quite a bit, and I think that I would recommend it to you guys depending on your price point, what's already in your collection, what colors you like to wear on your eyes. Like, if you don't like purples, you can find all of these shades somewhere else. None of these shades in here are super unique. So if you have a palette that already has them, you definitely don't need this palette. It's not like this formula is so revolutionary that you need to get your hands on it. It's a pretty good formula for the drugstore. It's not, I would not say that this is like a high-end formula by any sense of the imagination. So yeah. Anyway, that is everything for this video. I hope that it was helpful for you and maybe it swayed you in a direction one way or another of if you're thinking about picking this up. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe before you leave so you don't miss any of my future videos. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.